When I think back to my earliest days in school, I don't remember lessons or games. I remember a fear that every small mistake could make the world turn on me. I was 6 years old, going on 7, a nervous little boy standing at the edge of a journey, one shoelace away from collapse. In Alberta, we had 2 school systems, the public one and the separate one, which was code for Catholic. My parents opted for the latter, thus jump-starting a lifelong subscription to Catholic guilt. It was the early 80s, and the nuns were just being phased out. My rough school still employed nuns from the order of our sisters of the most vicious blood. These were no ordinary nuns. These were biker nuns. Chain-smoking, rosary-wielding disciplinarians who could knock you out with a glance, possibly carrying switchblades. Which brings me to my first ever bully, Sister Kelly, my grade 1 teacher. She was a 4'10" Irish woman with a Celtic brogue so thick it sounded like her voice was forged in a peat bog. But to me, she was a giant, towering with rage and the ability to weaponize the number 5. One day after recess, I was trying to change from my outdoor shoes to my indoor ones, a crucial Canadian ritual, when the worst thing imaginable happened. My shoelace had a knot. A stress knot sent by Satan himself. Sister Kelly barked at me to get my shoe off by the count of 5 or she'd lock me out of the classroom. I fumbled, I cried, I couldn't even see my laces through the tears, and then slam! The door shut, locked. I was exiled, banished, my shoe welded on and my soul unraveled. I don't know where she came from, but a young teacher, one of the new breed, found me in the hallway, a sniffling, wet-faced puddle of a boy. She knelt down, gently untied the knot, and then banged on the classroom door like she was collecting a debt. The door opened, and I was quietly ushered back inside to face the stares of 25 6-year-olds who now believed I was the reason phonics had been interrupted. I guess I was what they called a problem child. Back then, there were no diagnoses, no ADHD, no learning accommodations. You were either gifted, average, or a bad kid. According to Sister Kelly, I was not just bad, I was the worst human being ever to exist. Her words, not mine. In fact, I was placed under a special disciplinary system, the rule of 5. I was only allowed to speak to her 5 times per day. 5 interactions, total. Didn't matter if I had a question, needed the bathroom, or wanted to hand in an assignment. Once I hit my quota, I was cut off. I was to be ignored by everyone. I suddenly understood how a leper felt, only I had retained all my body parts. It was a lonely existence. The other kids were happy to comply. They loved rules and hated whatever weird energy I gave off. And that's pretty much all I remember from grade 1. The rest of that year is just a blur, probably repressed. I like to think my brain did me a solid and just deleted it. Grade 2 brought a new chapter in my European tour of misery, this time to Scotland. My teacher was Sister Fitzpatrick, and on the first day she announced in a voice that could slice granite that she wouldn't tolerate disgusting little nose pickers. She had the kind of glare that could curdle milk from across the room. Things hadn't improved much. My reputation from grade 1 carried over like a backpack full of bricks. Heavy, awkward, and impossible to ignore. Many of the same kids were in my new class. Kids, they're quick learners. Once they saw how effectively a teacher could bully a 6-year-old, they sharpened their technique. Some even enforced my old rule of 5, which now seemed to be more of a rule of never. And so, once again, I became a regular in the principal's office. 95% of the time, I had no idea what I'd done to end up there. Occasionally, though, I earned it, like the time I filled a Ziploc bag with rainwater, poked a hole in the corner, and used it to spray down the girls at recess. Eventually, through a strong recommendation from my school, I was referred to get professional help. Enter Dr. Blackman, psychiatrist, who, after a brief evaluation, decided the problem was not the teachers or the classmates, but me. His solution? Pills. It turns out the best way to treat a bullied child in the 80s was with enough medication to tranquilize a pony. So looking back, those years weren't about learning. They were about surviving biker nuns, teachers who thought humiliation was character building, and chemical helpers. I learned that adults can be terrifyingly absurd, rules can be weapons, and a 7-year-old can feel both invisible and exposed. but resilience came anyway. Not from gold stars or spelling bees, but from getting knocked down, brushing off the chalk dust, and standing back up. Thank you.